Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Monday, January 27th, 2025, and we are tracking a significant and rapidly evolving weather situation across the United Kingdom and Ireland that has meteorologists and emergency services paying very close attention. The Met Office has issued multiple wind warnings. We're talking amber level alerts here, not your standard yellow advisories, covering substantial portions of Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, with wind gusts that have already exceeded 80 miles per hour in exposed coastal locations and elevated terrain. And folks, those are not theoretical projections, those are measured observations from the past several hours, as this Atlantic low-pressure system has barreled in from the west with remarkable intensity. Let me give you the specifics right now, because the devil is absolutely in the details with this system. The Met Office amber warning for wind covers all of Northern Ireland and extends across substantial portions of Wales, particularly the western coastal counties and elevated terrain throughout the Welsh mountains. And this warning remains in effect through this evening, with the most intense period of winds occurring right now through early afternoon. We're looking at widespread gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour across the warned regions. But, and this is critical, exposed coastal headlands, cliff tops and elevated routes are experiencing gusts of 75 to 85 miles per hour, with some automated weather stations along the Irish coast recording momentary gusts that have touched 87 miles per hour during the overnight hours and into this morning. The station at Capel Curig in Snowdonia registered an 82 mile per hour gust just after dawn. Aberporth on the Welsh coast hit 78 miles per hour around 6 o'clock this morning, and across the Irish Sea, Malin Head recorded sustained winds of 58 miles per hour with gusts to 83 miles per hour as the core of the system moved through during the pre-dawn darkness. Now let's talk about what's driving this, because understanding the meteorology helps you understand why forecasters are taking this so seriously. We have a vigorous area of low pressure, current central pressure reading around 968 millibars, which for context is quite deep for a system affecting the British Isles at this time of year, that tracked rapidly northeast across the Atlantic over the weekend, intensifying as it approached Ireland Sunday night. The pressure gradient, that's the rate of change in atmospheric pressure over distance, is exceptionally tight on the southern and western flanks of this low. And tight pressure gradients generate strong winds. It's basic physics. Air rushes from high pressure to low pressure, and the tighter that gradient, the faster that air moves. This system has a classic bent-back occlusion structure, which means the cold front has wrapped around and merged with the warm front, creating this comma-shaped cloud shield you can see beautifully on satellite imagery. And that configuration often produces the most intense winds in the system's southwestern quadrant, which unfortunately is exactly where Ireland, Northern Ireland and Wales are positioned this morning. The timeline here is something everyone needs to understand clearly, because the peak winds are not uniform across the region. They're progressing, they're evolving, and where you are determines when you're going to see the worst of it. For Northern Ireland, the most intense period was roughly from 4 a.m. through 10 a.m. this morning, with conditions beginning to gradually improve through the remainder of the day, though it's going to stay quite blustery with gusts still reaching 50 to 60 miles per hour into this afternoon, before finally easing this evening. The Republic of Ireland, particularly the western and northwestern counties, experienced their peak winds during the overnight hours and early this morning, and they're now on the backside of this system, with conditions improving through the day. Wales, and this is important if you're watching from Wales, you are in the peak period right now, this morning into early afternoon, with the most intense winds occurring roughly between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. today, after which we should see a gradual moderation. But you're not going to see genuinely calm conditions return until this evening after dark. The impacts from winds of this magnitude are substantial, and they're affecting multiple sectors of daily life across these regions right now. Transportation infrastructure has taken a significant hit. Multiple ferry services across the Irish Sea have been cancelled this morning, including routes between Holyhead and Dublin, Fishguard and Rosslare, and several of the shorter crossings to the Isle of Man. Network Rail issued a do not travel advisory for several routes in North Wales through midday due to the risk of fallen trees, debris on tracks, and overhead line equipment damage, and they've imposed speed restrictions on multiple lines that remain operational. The A55 Coastal Expressway in North Wales has seen temporary closures for high-sided vehicles on the exposed sections, particularly across the Britannia Bridge and around the Conwy area, where crosswinds are extreme. Multiple schools across Northern Ireland and Western Wales made the decision to close today because the combination of morning peak winds, school transport exposure, and the genuine danger of flying debris made opening inadvisable. Power infrastructure has been affected with scattered outages reported across Northern Ireland, where Northern Ireland Electricity Networks has crews deployed dealing with fallen lines and damaged equipment. Though as of the latest update, we're talking about thousands of properties affected rather than tens of thousands, which suggests the grid has held up relatively well so far. In Wales, Scottish Power Energy Networks and SP Distribution have reported localised outages, particularly in exposed rural areas where tree-on-line incidents are the primary culprit. The concern isn't massive widespread grid failure here. The concern is localised incidents that can take several hours to repair when conditions are this blustery, because utility workers can't safely operate bucket trucks and elevated equipment in winds exceeding 50 miles per hour. So restoration work has to wait for conditions to moderate. The damage potential with winds at these speeds is something we need to talk about frankly, because 80-mile-per-hour gusts are approaching the threshold, where structural damage to buildings becomes not just possible, but probable, particularly to older structures, buildings with compromised roofing and temporary structures. We're talking about roof tiles and slates being stripped, chimney pots coming down, scaffolding becoming extremely hazardous, old garden furniture and trampolines becoming projectile hazards. Trees, and this time of year, January, the ground is saturated from persistent winter rainfall, which means tree roots have less purchase in the soil. And when you combine saturated ground with winds gusting to 70+ miles per hour, you get tree down incidents even on trees that appear healthy and well established. Looking at the broader picture across the rest of the UK, much of England has yellow wind warnings in effect today, which means be aware, be prepared for gusty conditions, but the risk level is a step down from what Wales and Northern Ireland are dealing with. Western Scotland, particularly Dumfries and Galloway and Ayrshire, you're seeing gusty winds as well, with this same system brushing you with its northern periphery. Though the most intense winds are staying south of the Scottish border today. Central and eastern England, you're breezy, but not in the danger zone. We're talking gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour in the most exposed spots, which is unpleasant, but not at the threshold where we're overly concerned about structural damage or widespread hazardous conditions. Now let's talk about what happens next, because the peak may be passing for some regions, but we're not done with active weather by any stretch. This low-pressure system is going to continue tracking northeast across Scotland through tonight and into Tuesday, gradually filling and weakening as it moves, but it's going to leave behind an active northwesterly airflow across the UK and Ireland for the next several days. What that means practically is winds will gradually ease from their current extreme levels through this afternoon and evening. By tonight, we're looking at gusts dropping back down to the 40 to 50 mile per hour range across the previously warned areas. Tuesday itself looks blustery but not dangerous, with gusts of 45 to 55 miles per hour in western coastal areas and elevated terrain, with lighter winds further east, and we should see sunshine and showers, typical post-frontal weather with good visibility between the showers, though those showers will be heavy at times with hail and isolated thunder possible. The extended outlook through the rest of this week shows the active Atlantic pattern continuing with weather systems rolling in from the west every couple of days. Though nothing in the current forecast is showing the same intensity as what we're dealing with today. Wednesday looks like a brief window of lighter winds and drier weather before the next system arrives. Wednesday night into Thursday, bringing another round of wet and windy weather, though current projections suggest winds with that system will peak in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range in exposed areas. Breezy and unpleasant, requiring caution, but not at the amber warning threshold. Speaking of responding appropriately, let's get very specific about what you should and should not be doing if you're in one of the affected areas right now. If you're in an amber warning area, Northern Ireland, Wales, western coastal regions, do not go outside unless absolutely necessary during the peak wind period, which for Wales is right now through early afternoon. If you must go outside, be aware of your surroundings constantly, look up regularly to check for loose roof materials or tree branches, stay away from buildings with scaffolding, stay well back from the coast where waves are extremely dangerous and spray is being blown inland. If you're driving, reduce your speed, increase your following distance, be prepared for sudden gusts that can push your vehicle, particularly when emerging from sheltered areas into exposed sections. High-sided vehicles, lorries, vans, campers, caravans, Need to avoid exposed routes entirely if possible, and exercise extreme caution if travel is unavoidable. Secure anything outside your property that could become a projectile. Garden furniture needs to be in the garage or shed. Trampolines need to be tethered down or disassembled. Wheelie bins need to be in protected locations. Plant pots and hanging baskets need to come down. Check your property for vulnerable points, and if you lose power, have your torch and backup power sources ready. Keep your phone charged and report outages to your distribution network operator. But understand that restoration work can't safely proceed until wind speeds drop below operational thresholds. The sea state around the Irish Sea and western coasts is absolutely ferocious right now, with significant wave heights of 6 to 9 metres in the Irish Sea and up to 10 to 12 metres in the Atlantic approaches to Western Ireland. And I cannot stress this strongly enough. Do not go near the coast to watch the waves today. People die every year in the UK from being swept off coastal paths and piers by waves during storms like this. And the combination of high winds and massive seas creates conditions where you can be knocked down by wind gusts and then swept away by waves or simply be hit by debris thrown inland by the wind. As we wrap up here, let me summarise the key points one more time. Right now, this Monday morning, January 27th, 2025, amber wind warnings remain in effect for Northern Ireland and Wales, with winds gusting 70 to 85 miles per hour in the most exposed locations, with the peak period for Wales occurring right now through early afternoon. Conditions will gradually improve through this afternoon and evening as the system moves away, with winds dropping back to blustery but not dangerous levels by tonight. The impacts include transportation disruption, ferry cancellations, rail delays, scattered power outages, fallen trees, and flying debris hazards. If you're in an amber warning area, stay indoors if possible, secure loose items, avoid unnecessary travel, and stay away from the coast. Yellow warnings remain in effect for much of England and Western Scotland, with gusty conditions but lower risk. Please, if you found this breakdown helpful, if you want to stay updated on what's happening with this system as it evolves through the day and what comes next, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you've got notifications turned on so you don't miss updates, because I'll be back later today or tomorrow with a follow-up on how this system actually performed and what the forecast looks like for the coming days. Stay safe out there, particularly if you're in Wales or Northern Ireland right now dealing with the peak of this wind event. This is weather that demands respect and caution, but it's weather we can handle if we respond appropriately to the warnings that have been issued. I'll see you in the next update. Take care.